Somewhere beneath the surface of the Strait of Hormuz, in water so shallow and so crowded with tanker traffic that submarine warfare experts call it a knife fight in a phone booth, an American Ohio-class submarine was moving in complete silence. Or at least, that's what Washington wanted the world to believe. Iran says otherwise. Iran says it found the submarine. Iran says it forced it to the surface. And whether or not you believe Tehran's state television, one thing is undeniable. The Strait of Hormuz has quietly become the most dangerous stretch of water on planet Earth, and a shadow war is being fought beneath its waves that most of the world hasn't even noticed yet. This is not the first time this claim has been made. Iran has made it before. In 2023, Iranian state media, through the TASS news agency, announced that its navy had detected and surfaced the USS Florida, a nuclear-powered Ohio-class submarine armed with cruise missiles, as it tried to cross the strait in total silence. Iran claimed a small submarine called the Iris Fateh had tracked the massive American vessel and forced it up. The story spread across pro-Iranian media within hours. Victory. Humiliation of the American Navy. Proof that Iran's undersea forces could do what the world thought was impossible: hunt an American nuclear submarine in its own hunting ground. There was just one problem. The United States Navy's Fifth Fleet, based in Bahrain, responded almost immediately. Their statement was blunt. The claim was, in their words, absolutely false and represented, quote, more Iranian disinformation. So which was it? A stunning tactical humiliation of the U.S. Navy, or a fabricated propaganda victory built entirely out of nothing? To understand why this question matters so much right now, in the middle of an active and escalating war, you need to understand what's actually happening beneath the surface of the Strait of Hormuz today. Because this is not 2023 anymore. This is a live war zone. Let's set the stage. As of the middle of 2026, the world is watching a real, active, and rapidly escalating war between the United States and Iran, one that has already claimed Iranian naval vessels, including the frigate Dana, sunk in March of 2026 during American military operations far from Iranian shores, off the coast of Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean. Tankers have been struck. Commercial shipping through Hormuz has been effectively strangled. And in the middle of all this chaos, Iran has made a decision that terrifies naval analysts across the world. It has deployed its submarine fleet, not its large ships, not its surface navy, but its submarines, directly into the Strait of Hormuz. Now I need you to understand exactly what kind of submarines we're talking about, because the class of vessel Iran is using here is unlike anything the U.S. Navy typically has to worry about. They're called Ghadir-class submarines. NATO calls them midget submarines, and the nickname is not an insult, it's a description. These are small, domestically built, diesel-electric vessels designed for exactly one purpose. Not blue water combat, not long-range patrols across oceans, ambush. Iranian naval engineers built the Ghadir class specifically for the unique and brutal conditions of the Persian Gulf. Water that is shallow, filled with sediment, thick with commercial shipping noise, and riddled with rapid temperature shifts that scramble sonar. In other words, Iran built a submarine specifically designed to hide inside the acoustic chaos of the very strait where the entire world's oil tankers are forced to funnel through a channel less than 4 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. On May 10, 2026, Iran's Navy commander, Rear Admiral Shahram Irani, confirmed publicly what Western intelligence had suspected for weeks. Ghadir-class submarines, the ones Iranian sailors call the dolphins of the Persian Gulf, were deployed and operating inside the strait under heightened readiness. During a naval exercise honoring the sailors lost aboard the Dana, several of these submarines surfaced together in formation before vanishing beneath the waves again, a message aimed directly at Washington. We are here, we are watching, and you cannot see us. This is where the story gets genuinely frightening, because Iran's confidence is not pure bravado. There's a real tactical logic behind it, and it's one that should worry anyone who understands undersea warfare. A former commander of Iran's Navy, Rear Admiral Hossein Khanzadi, made a chilling historical comparison. He said the Ghadir-class submarines, quote, can do what the U-boats did during World War II. Think about what that means. German U-boats didn't need to defeat the Royal Navy in open battle. They just needed to hide, wait, and strike commercial shipping. And in doing so, they nearly starved Britain into submission. Iran is invoking that exact playbook, not against warships, but against the tankers carrying billions of dollars of crude oil through the strait every single day. And here's the number that should stop you in your tracks. The Strait of Hormuz carries something between $3 and $4 billion worth of oil flow every single day. Every single day. Iran doesn't need to sink an aircraft carrier to bring the global economy to its knees. It just needs one Ghadir-class submarine, a vessel that costs a fraction of a single American destroyer, to put a torpedo into one tanker carrying $60 to $100 million of crude. From Tehran's perspective, that trade is not just acceptable, it's strategically brilliant. A cheap, expendable weapon capable of inflicting catastrophic economic damage on the entire world, and hiding in water too shallow, too loud, and too crowded for American anti-submarine warfare systems to easily find it. This is the environment the alleged submarine detection happened in. Not in 2023's relatively calmer waters, but inside a live war zone in 2026, where Iran has every incentive imaginable to broadcast a story of hunting down an American submarine. So let's go back to the claim itself, because the mechanics of what Iran says happened matter enormously. According to a senior Iranian naval official, quote, "This submarine, using all its modern-day capacities, was doing its best to pass through the Strait of Hormuz in total silence. When it was detected, we issued the necessary warnings." Read that sentence again. Iran isn't claiming they got lucky. They're claiming their detection architecture, built specifically for these waters, is now sophisticated enough to track and challenge the most advanced submarine force on Earth, an American Ohio-class boat, one of the most silent, most technologically dominant underwater weapon systems ever built. If true, that is not a minor tactical embarrassment for the United States. That is a fundamental shift in the undersea balance of power in one of the most strategically vital waterways on the planet. It would mean the survivability of American submarine operations in the Gulf, operations that form part of the backbone of U.S. deterrence in the region, can no longer be guaranteed. It would mean Iran's investment in cheap, purpose-built shallow water submarines has paid off in a way that stuns Western naval planners. But here's where we have to pump the brakes hard, because the same pattern happened before, and the truth turned out to be far murkier than Tehran's headlines suggested. Defense analysts have pointed out something crucial about how these midget submarines actually operate, and it exposes both their genius and their fatal weakness. Tom Shughart, a retired U.S. Navy submarine warfare officer, laid out exactly why these vessels are dangerous, but also exactly why they're vulnerable. The Ghadir-class boats have no air-independent propulsion system, unlike more modern diesel-electric submarines used by other navies. That means they cannot stay submerged indefinitely. Eventually, they have to come up and snorkel, running their diesel engines to recharge their batteries. And when they do that, Shughart explained, they generate sound that can be detected. Their snorkel mast breaking the surface can be picked up by radar on patrol aircraft or helicopters circling above. So here is the terrifying and fascinating paradox sitting at the heart of this entire story. Iran's submarines can sit motionless on the seafloor, silent, waiting for a limited window of time. Shughart put a number on it, probably a couple of days at most before they're forced to surface and reveal themselves. That's Iran's tactical trap. Hide in the noise of the strait, wait for a target, strike, then vanish again before American sonar operators can localize the threat. But it also means their operational endurance is nowhere close to that of a nuclear-powered American submarine that can remain submerged for months without ever needing to surface. Which brings us to the question nobody in Tehran once asked out loud. If the Ghadir class has such a narrow operational window and requires surfacing to recharge, how exactly did it allegedly detect, track, and force the surfacing of a vastly larger, faster, and more sophisticated American nuclear submarine, one specifically designed to operate in near total silence without giving away its own position first? For the United States Navy, this creates an agonizing operational dilemma. Do you continue sending your most valuable, most strategically important nuclear submarines through one of the most heavily contested and acoustically hostile waterways on Earth, knowing that even a cheap, expendable Iranian midget submarine, one worth a fraction of the cost of the vessel it's hunting, could theoretically get a firing solution first? Or do you pull back, reroute, reduce submarine presence in the strait, and in doing so, hand Iran exactly the psychological and strategic victory it's been chasing since the very first disputed claim back in 2023? There is no clean answer. And that, more than any single disputed sonar contact, is the real story unfolding beneath the waves of the Strait of Hormuz right now. Not a confirmed humiliation of the American Navy, not a confirmed lie from Iranian state television, something far more unsettling than either. A live, unresolved contest for control of the most economically vital choke point on the planet, fought in silence and shallow water, between a superpower's most advanced submarines and a much smaller nation's cheapest, most expendable ones, with global oil prices, international shipping, and the credibility of American naval power all hanging in the balance of what happens the next time something moves in the dark beneath Hormuz. Thank you for watching. If you want us to keep tracking what's really happening beneath the surface of this war, make sure to like this video and leave a comment below.